because I do want to know each one of you. But today we are going to cover some of the topics we did not cover. So let me start with kind of ask your opinion. We want to put you into a group of about 5 to 6 students per group. This group, you will do some research together, and also I'm going to ask you to sit together during the session. Although it's not absolutely required, but if you can, the group can sit together, then sometime I will point to the group and ask you to answer some questions. But definitely there will be a collaborative research project at the end of the semester. So there are 3 ways we can group the students together. The first one is random. I just have people's last name and just throw it on the floor and pick out 6, and that's the group. The second one is you gather 5 or 6 of your best buddies and tell me you are a group, which I actually advise not to. The third one is I recommend, but I want to listen to you. The third one is that I will put you into a group that maximize the diversity, meaning you will be in a group with boys, girls, older people, younger people, people have a lot of industry experience, people have no idea what they want to do. So what's your pleasure? Random, buddy, or mixed? Okay, let me have a show hand. Random. Okay, we have random 5. Buddy. Mixed. Okay. I will go for mixed. And if you really have a good reason, for academic reason, not because you drink beer with that person all the time. If you have a good reason, let me know, I can switch you. Okay, so sometime before the end of this week, on the website you will see which is your group. Okay, the reason why is just this. I will talk about it today. The unique value you are in this school, not only in your program, is that the 2 degrees really interact a lot. You don't want to wait till you graduate when you assign to a working group to find out, oh, the designer think about things this way. That is so wrong. You want to find out the wrongness when you're here, or the great benefit of picking the brain, picking the people that use different side of their brains. Okay, so we'll do that. So if you have so let me ask you, some of you probably have done a study. If you finish a CD degree, what kind of career do you plan to? Anyone? Let me share. What kind of career for a CD degree you would like to pursue after you graduate?
Web design.
Web designer. Good. Working for?
I'd like to start at a firm.
Start a web design firm.
Yeah.
Okay, it's competitive, but it's a lot. User interface design. Most software developed firm or web design firm have a user interface specialist. Okay, that's good. What else? In junior year, you will start an all very important capstone. Capstone, the first semester that's in the junior year, in the senior year, I'm sorry, will be doing the proposal. So during that 16 weeks, you will talk to the client, look for a problem, talk to the faculty, write a pretty comprehensive proposal, meaning you have what's the problem, what's the current solution, what's your proposed solution, the timeline, the budget, the risk management. What if that technology doesn't work? Or what if the client decides to change the idea? How do you deal with those? And the last 3 or 4 weeks in that semester, you will build a a feasibility study, a simple prototype to make sure faculty look at it and say, yes, the problem is solvable and you have the necessary skill to do it. Then in 401, that's the very last semester, you finish that capstone. The finished capstone has 3 parts. You actually finish the project. You document the process. So later on, people want to kind of examine the detail. They want to follow your design. They have the documentation to follow. You will put together a presentation. That's a pretty big deal. Usually in this room or even bigger room next door, it will be your classmate, the younger student, industry, Your parents will come and it will be packed, and you will have a high pressure of 10 minutes to talk about your capstone. And often there are many students do not remember anything they learn in class, especially this class, because they are reading their Facebook. But they all remember that intensive experience of capstone. So it is a tradition in ITCD. We put a capstone as a very important process in your learning. So you will, today's assignment, you will put a paragraph. You can change it anytime. You'll put a paragraph saying, that type of career or capstone, that is what I intend to do. Okay, just a paragraph. Then if you'll take an elective, one thing I want to talk about computer science, we have about 60% of students in computer science. So what kind of career our computer science program prepare you to do? About Will? Software engineer, writing software, right? Design and write software. Network administrators. Hopefully you probably will start with a kind of entry level. You have to physically put the network there. You have to connect the wire, write the script to see all the packets going back and forth. But our training is supposed to move you up to the kind of project leader or manager suit, because you know how to solve problems, not only follow instructions. Okay. So network administrator is definitely a part of the career. What else? Database administration is a really fast-growing field. So you need to know system administration, you need to know database, you need to know a little bit of programming, but also you need to know how an organization uses database, okay, and the policy and privacy. Yeah, database administration, probably software engineering, database administration are the two fastest-growing fields. Networking is pretty out there also. Good. So I want to point out this inspired. That's hard. There's no classic inspiration. Right? So hopefully that inspiration comes from your connection with your classmates and definitely with your faculty. So you want to know the faculty, not only their skills, their craft, but you want to know them, their vision, their passion, or even their downfall. So each faculty will leave a mark on you, even you don't recognize it. So that's, I think we have one student here from Britain. So she came to me a couple of days ago and said, your classes are very different. You actually talk to students. And many other places, classes even bigger than this. It's just lecture. You go there, you take note, you listen to it, you go home, do assignment, and do a test. At the end of the semester, you don't even know you don't ever have a communication with faculty. Here we try to be different. So I always tell our faculty that we are here to educate, right? We give students skills and knowledge. We're here to certify. We want to make sure when they put together the portfolio, take the final, our education, if you get an A, it means something. And most important part is we inspire students to go beyond the classroom, go beyond the faculty's capability. What is that one website you go to that's kind of messy? It's kind of all over the map. Anyone? My CST. Google is elegant, it's simple. So if you go to Google, you cannot go wrong. There's only one place for you to do it, right? And that even you don't have to go to all the lists. You can say, I feel lucky. And you give you one. You already go there. And that's a beautiful design. A beautiful design. Let's go to another extreme. Okay. Yahoo's philosophy is that this is for a professional web server. This is like flying an airplane. It gives you everything on that screen. Okay.
The whole population.
Yeah, it's hard to tell because Yahoo spent millions of dollars to do this. So I won't say it's wrong. It's a different philosophy. Okay. But you have to realize you have to have a sense which one speak or connect to your user better.
Or what kind of user you want.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So till today, Yahoo is still the highest traffic site. They might not make a lot of money, but it's still highest traffic. People want to do search, they go to Google. People want to access kind of entertainment or news, Yahoo is still #1 site. So you compare these two big ones, you'll know the difference. Of course, let's go to kind of the, people always use Apple, right? Let's look at Apple. Does it look different? Apple tried to be very elegant, try to be as minimalist as possible. Even they are a huge business, the site is simple. Okay, so I just want you to know, if even you do software engineering, you sooner or later you have to work with or directly work on interface, or you work with designers. Good. So let's. Okay, I want to talk about a couple of success stories. So what is the unique strength you will develop during the next 2 years compared to another graphic design or a communication design program or another computer science program, say from San Jose State? Is it a difference, or we are just, computer science program in a better location? There are a few things you need to keep in mind that you will be a bit different over there. What do you think?
Capstone is a big one.
Capstone is a big one. So you know how to solve a problem probably faculty doesn't know how to solve. You will pick a problem and solve it in your own way, find your own solution. So Capstone, I always tell students, is the stepping stone between you as a student and you as a professional. So it's a very laborious process for both faculty and students, but that 1 year is valuable. Okay, so Capstone, let me kind of summarize. That's a good point. Thank you. So you graduate from our program, you have to have a solid technical skill and knowledge. That's given. But you know how to collaborate, especially collaborate with people not in your discipline. You know how to present. You know how to communicate, present, both in writing and in the oral form. And you also know how to solve problems. Because almost every class, you have a project. You have to come up with your own solution. Okay? So able to collaborate, able to communicate, able to solve problems from an innovative angle, that will make you very different from a typical kind of computer science or CD graduate. So our students go out there, they excel in 2 areas. I hope there will be a 3, but we haven't seen that a lot yet. 2 areas. First, that people do well in that intersection of computing and design. For example, web development or game design. Those, you have to cover both. So those, our students kind of climb the project from the staff engineer to project manager to executive. Our students climb that ladder faster than others, okay? Because the training here is very interactive. The second one is, when I talk to, for example, defense department, looking for is geek can speak. You have very good technology, but you can actually communicate. So if you fit into that model, there's a lot of career for you. Okay, geek can speak. One more story, I will have a break. So that geek can speak kind of reflect itself interestingly in a famous startup called Dropbox. Many of you probably use that. It's an online storage. Dropbox the entrepreneur. He is from a technical background. He got his first $10 million investment without any software. He only produced a video conveying his idea and telling how this thing could be done. And because he can present, he has a vision, he can solve a problem from an innovative way. He got the funding, then he used the funding to actually build the software. So able to innovate, able to talk, able to communicate is crucial. It's crucial. Okay, so I want to keep that in mind. So can someone define for me what is visual design? Thomas, what do you think? When people ask you, what is visual design? What's your answer?
Making visually appealing stuff that people like to look at.
Okay. That give me a different photo. I cannot tell you. Z?
Being able to express an idea visually in a visual way.
Able to express an idea in a visual way or create something aesthetic people like to look at. What else?
Capturing someone's attention visually.
That's important to capture someone's attention. Okay, so if you design something that capture people's attention, communicate an idea, and make it pleasant to look at, I think that's pretty good. I think that's pretty good. And behind it, the hard part of visual design is that there are millions of possibilities to do the design. How do you find a way to do all three in an efficient way and your client willing to pay you? Okay. Let me give you an example, then we'll really have a break. That's old.
Just quickly, I'm from Seattle, Washington. I grew up there. Seattle, we drink a lot of coffee. We watch a lot of movies because it rains a lot. We read a lot of books. And then we're very active because they have mountains and seas. So growing up, I downhill skied, I cross-country skied. I'm an avid sailor. I love kayaking. And I water ski. And anyway, I wanted to be a linguist. And when I was going to go to college, we didn't have enough money to send me to the school I wanted to go to. So I worked for a year or two at the University of Washington, saved up a grand, and went to school in France. And what's neat about studying in Europe is the education is subsidized by the government. And so it only cost me a couple $100 to go to universities in France. And since I was a French major, I was learning French a lot better than I would in Seattle, Washington. And I had fun. And so I got to, I found jobs in the summers at camps. And so with these skills in my cap, I taught water skiing on Lake Geneva, and I taught sailing in Denmark. And I really spent a lot of time in Scandinavia because my background is Swedish. And anyway, so I studied in these different universities and these different schools, and then I'd work in the summer, and then I'd run out of money and then come back to the States and do what a lot of you do. I enrolled at the University of Washington, and I worked 30 hours a week at a wine shop. And over 3 years, I read the biggest book on wine that you ever saw, and I drank my way from one end of the wine shop to the other. So I know everything from Alsatian to Zinfandel, so if you ever want to talk about wine. So that was an interesting job, and with my students, I always ask you if you're working so that I can help you with the classes that I teach. So anyway, after studying all these languages and spending several years, when I was living in Europe, my camera broke, and I started drawing the architecture because I love architecture. And my boyfriend was in advertising, and when I came back to Seattle, I had a few weeks till school started. So this was in the 70s before they saved a lot of Victorian buildings, like at Ghirardelli Square, you know, and like in Monterey from being torn down. So I went around and did pen and ink drawings of all these buildings that I liked before they disappeared. And he helped me print 300 of them. And I went to the farmer's market to set up my mom's sewing table with a folding chair. And I'm just moving on. So anyway, in the design thing, I just took off. And it's because I'd never had an art class before. I didn't know anything about it. And when I started, it was called commercial art. And it was all about advertising, newspaper advertising, and it usually meant drawing pictures of fashion models. So I take this night class, or actually I took my ED majors. Well, welcome. If I can give you any help, come talk to me. So anyway, when I got done with my Bachelor of Fine Arts, which takes 3 years instead of 2 years, there were 2 things I didn't know. I didn't know what typeface to use, and I didn't know where to put it. And I also did not understand what a grid was. So I ended up going to graduate school in Switzerland, which once again was way cheaper than Yale. Yale was $11,000 a year at that time. Basel was $600 a semester. So no choice there. And all the professors at Yale were from Basel, Switzerland. So why not go straight to the original thing? The only thing is the dollar plummeted while I was there. And while I was there, I could just see dollar signs. This hour is costing me, you know, $1.95. But by golly, 3 years later when I got out, I students too. So when I graduated, the first thing I did was run to Paris. And I tried to get illegal work there, ran out of money, and I said, okay, I just spent 24 grand on my graduate degree. I better hit the bricks. So I went to Boston. And Boston has a lot of architects, and the Yale Design School is nearby, and we were like cousins. And so it was very easy for me to get a job because I had gone to Basel. And you're going to find when you leave here that the friendships and networks you make are going to be huge in your finding a job. And so that's how I got mine, was through connections. When you go to work, at least in visual design, there's 3 things you can do. You can go to work in a small design firm. You can go to work in-house in a corporation like Apple, or a big design firm, or you can freelance. So when I got there, I found a job in a small 3-person architectural firm. The advantage of working in a first bit of advice for you. But then sales depressing, you know, in the winter. And so this friend of mine that was in Texas, a classmate, networking, said, I work in this international graphic design firm. There are 300 people. We have 6 offices around the world, and my boss is looking for a new graphic designer. How do you feel about Texas? And I kind of rolled my eyes. I never had any intention of going to Texas. But it was about 32 degrees and rainy and slushy in Seattle. And I said, Leah, what's the temperature down there? And she said, it's 90 and sunny. So I just flew down for the week to have an interview. I discovered. So here are the classes. Media tools, digital art design, publication design, web design, publication workshop. These are the classes that I recommend, digital photography, electives, and also there's going to be a new web class called Basic Web Design. And it's called 251, and it's going to be offered this spring. And Kevin and I are really encouraging you guys to take it. And I think that's the end. Oh, and this is the work that my students did. And this is a portfolio. And this is a capstone portfolio.
We have one question over there.
I do, and I just think that this is a part of the whole class, especially that 251 course, but correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that going to become a prerequisite for 351 starting next spring?
Next year.
Next year. So, it does have
So you guys that are going to put 351 on your ILP, you want to get started with 251 this spring. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I will see you next week.